Well, hello everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully, you guys had a great holiday as well as a good New Year so far, starting from the past few weeks. We're already onto February. I think time definitely goes by pretty slow as you get older. I'm starting to really figure and realize that just by living life. But I wanted to start this video, and some of you guys are probably thinking, I'm kind of going negative for the start of the year. That's not my intention. I just thought I make a video about this because there is a lot of uncertainty still within the game industry, especially when it comes to the layoffs going on. I've talked about this many times on my podcast that if you guys haven't followed it, you can follow the Haunted Behind Design on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But I wanted to make this video because the title of this video would be if starting a full-time job as a sound designer, is that still a viable option right now? And some of you guys who follow my channel, listen to my podcast, and just kind of keep up with me overall on social media, there are some of you guys that are probably wanting to break in the industry as an in-house sound designer. And the problem is a lot of junior roles just don't really exist right now, at least here in the US. That's not to say that junior roles don't exist overall. Follow a lot of these job postings, and if you guys follow like specific newsletters as well, or just are on LinkedIn, you'll see there are a bunch of jobs, especially in junior roles, hiring, but they're hiring either in Europe, Canada, Sweden, like Australia sometimes, just definitely nowhere here in the US. And I guess for my best advice I can give to you guys just starting as a sound designer, especially if you're trying to break into the industry. I was saying this on my last video, how to break into the industry, is that you really have to become your own boss, become a freelancer. And if you can just do any projects, doesn't even have to be freelance work. You can try to do projects, join game jams, create your own like redesigns, like all those help as well. But if you really want hands-on experience for games, create a game with someone. The unfortunate news is, and I don't want to, shine a spotlight on the situation with the Ludum Dare game jam. Some of you guys might or might not know, Ludum Dare is a yearly game jam that happens pretty much every year, twice a year especially. Unfortunately, we got news that the next Ludum Dare is unfortunately canceled for this year due to Mike, who is pretty much the, guy that runs the whole Ludum Dare events for every year. He's just going through, personal stuff, so he's taking a break. You guys can look it up on the Ludum Dare website to read more. I won't really dive into it because, you could just look it up and kind of get an idea of the situation. But yeah, it sucks. I know a lot of friends of mine in the industry that have been laid off, unfortunately, due to unfortunate circumstances, and they end up staying with the studio, and they were only there for a year, and lo and behold, they're already laid off. Funny story is, and I wasn't so sure if I really wanted to talk about this, because I try to keep my life personal as well. I definitely had a few jobs offered to me as a sound designer for a few studios. Unfortunately, I just either just didn't work out, or I turned down a few offers just because a couple of them were actually not in the US actually. I won't say the studio's name, but I'll definitely keep that private. But I've turned down a few offers, and I thought about it many times, and it's like, oh, what could have been, if I just took that opportunity. But I really wanted to dive in as a freelance sound designer. I haven't got crazy projects, but as a part-time freelancer, I'm doing some really small things here and there. But I really wanted to focus on my podcast, focus on my skills, and I definitely wanted to focus more on my music because I was actually a musician before I became a sound designer. Anyway, the layoffs overall, does it make sense to break into this industry when you got constant layoffs? There's just a lot of uncertainty with the industry altogether. And as a sound designer, I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people who are trying to break into game audio. Is it even viable? Should you even pursue a career in audio within the game industry, especially as a full house? Like, I keep saying full house, my gosh. I think it's because I was watching like a clip from Full House, and that's why it's on my mind, whatever. But as a full time in house sound designer, and honestly, if you want my personal opinion, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get experience. But what I would recommend is, depending on the studio, do research on the studio. Like, Glassdoor is a great resource for any corporate entity, if you will, as far as doing background research on the specific company. And also, if you have connections within the industry, reach out to people you trust within the industry and see if they have friends or have anything about the studio or know anything. Because especially if you're asking from friends that you trust, they're going to give you an unbiased, you know, thoughts about certain studios and how they operate, and they're not going to sugarcoat things for sure. So that would be my recommendation before you say yes, because take a job offer as, with a grain of salt. Like, if you have a great offer, and I understand that if you're in the circumstance where you need to pay the bills, you need to put food on the table, you just have to take whatever comes by or comes your way. So I totally get that you can't just say no to any offer, but I'm serious. There are times where people say yes to certain jobs and they end up not liking the opportunity, or it's just the culture is just not for them. The environment's not for them. Work-life balance didn't meet their expectations, and they're just not feeling fulfilled, or they experience burnout. So I would say, as a sound designer, and freelance is not for everybody. I mean, it's hard being a freelance sound designer. There are times where I'm like, should I even pursue freelance sound design? Because there's a lot of uncertainty with that as well. It comes with its own cons for sure. But I think if you really want to break into the industry and you really want it, by all means, do whatever it takes to learn these skills, continue to build a network. And I know a lot of people get annoyed when I say build a network, make friends, but that's true. I mean, I know it's not a fast strategy as far as breaking into the industry. That's something that you build over time and it grows, but you have to keep building relationships with people, because whenever push comes to shove, if something happens at your current job or just something pops up and you need like a good amount of friends in the background just vouching for you, looking out for opportunities for you, that is just going to help you out in the long run. But I don't know. It's hard to say with these layoffs, just because, yeah, nobody really knows the state of the industry. I mean, from my own research, because I keep up with job postings pretty much every week. So the trend that I'm seeing is there are a lot of senior roles, lead audio roles, and director, like audio director roles, as well as technical sound designer roles. But still, like, not just from the technical sound design aspect, but just straight up audio designer. They're all senior roles. Nobody in the US is really hiring junior. And that was the biggest problem for not just sound design, but other disciplines in the industry. A lot of people were saying, where are the junior positions? And I mean, junior positions are out there. They're just not publicly out there, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's welcome to the corporate game, people. Like, that's just how it is. A lot of these junior sound design positions are just not posted, and a lot of these studios they usually hire internally for those positions, especially if they're having to train someone as a junior or someone who doesn't have a lot of experience making a game. They're going to likely hire someone internally, that, or at least someone internally in their studio, of someone they know, because they rather take a chance with someone they know versus hiring a stranger who has barely any experience in the industry. So unfortunately, this doesn't just go for sound design, but this also goes for other disciplines as well. And yeah, that's the unfortunate truth. How do we change it? I don't know. I thought about it many times. The best thing I can say is, yeah, you just have to play the game and really build a network, build relationships with people, and really do like heavy research on these studios you're applying to, or that at least you're interested in, because like I said, some of the studios that I can see myself working at, a lot of them I'm like, maybe not so much anymore. But like I said, it's just all of a matter of the culture, what they're making, and really focus on the type of games they make and try to niche down your style and your creativity towards what they build. Like if you're into fantasy games, maybe you want to look into Blizzard. Maybe you want to look into, studios that focus more on the fantasy MMO, online model. For instance, like Cinemac Online Studios or Bethesda Softworks, or if you want to work at Sony and focus on narrative-based games, really try to tailor your audio portfolio towards that specific genre, because people want to vision you working in the team for what they're building. So my best advice is to try to, you're probably going to have multiple demos, to be honest, that are catering towards different genres. I've spoke to a lot of sound design veterans who are great mentors and great friends that I know in real life, and they gave me lots of valuable advice when it comes to how do you differentiate yourself from all the other sound designers that are trying to find jobs. So yeah, you have to create your own opportunities. You have to, if you don't really want to deal with having to move, say you get an opportunity and the company's like, oh, move to Texas. Oh, you're in California, move to Washington if you want to work with us, or move to another state. And by the time you're going through that process, you move, you rent a place or you buy a house there. And then next year or 2 years later, they're like, sorry, you're laid off. I know you bought a house or you rented an apartment, but yeah, good luck. So yeah, it's terrible. And for anyone watching this who are still currently unemployed, still looking for work, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me also at camargoaudio@gmail.com. Because like I said, I have a lot of connections in the industry as well. So if there's a specific role that you're looking for, I can reach out to my network and see if they have any roles that they're hiring. And, because I want to help. I want to help people who are in need. And, you know, I like to be that guy that looks out for people, especially when they're dealing with layoffs, because layoffs are just terrible. And I know this is the start of a new year, and I said earlier, like, Happy New Year, but hopefully within the next 3 to 6 months, we'll actually see like momentum within the game industry again. I have no idea. It's always changing. I don't know if indie studios, I mean, I know some indie studios are stepping up and realizing like starting an indie studio is actually not a bad idea. But again, that's another monster, because starting a studio is a lot of work as well. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below about your situation as a sound designer, or just your experience in the industry. I would like to hear it in the comments section. And as always, if there's any questions, like I said, feel free to contact me directly and email me. Be happy to chat and talk shop, what have you. But anyways, guys, feel free to like this video if you found this video somewhat, helpful, in the sense you get an idea where the industry is, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with my videos. Anyways, guys, have a good one, and I'll catch y'all on the Flip-D-Flop.